to the Optus data breach and, moreover, the mismanagement of the crisis by the company, it has now become farcical. And wait till you hear what they've done to customers only today. Yesterday, Optus tried the full-page mea culpa approach by reaching out to customers to say, "We are deeply sorry," which doesn't do anything about fearful Optus account holders who suspect they've had their key personal information hacked. A full-page ad, well, it's just a corporate crisis measure. They show sympathy for customers and, theoretically, that begins the mending process. But it doesn't mend the damage of exposed data and what cyber criminals might be doing this very moment in replicating identities and purchasing assets and accounts. All it does is make an attempt for the company to begin saving face in front of investors, in front of the market. Pretty selfish, if you ask me. And the Federal Government Services Minister, Bill Shorten, agrees.
But an ad is not a strategy. An ad is not a plan. Systemic risk has been injected into the Australian bloodstream about the privacy of their information. We know that Optus is trying to do what it can, but having said that, it's not enough. It's been 11 days since the breach.
Now, let me just explain what the government did. Despite Optus saying in that apology yesterday that it's, quote, working closely with authorities to understand how this attack on your privacy occurred, they have simply ignored the federal government. The government asked them 5 days ago to hand over the full details of all affected customers, and it makes sense. You could then put alerts on their Medicare and Centrelink accounts so that those in those two departments can be alerted of any suspicious activity. Customers could have been partially protected days ago, but they're still exposed because the gateway to those accounts is as wide open as Sydney Heads. And the other question is, where have all the Optus executive vanished to? Where is the reassurance? Where is the explanation? My understanding is, and this is from a very reliable source, the Singtel Singaporean parent company sent a team of executives to Australia on Tuesday, and they demanded the curtain go down, no more wide-ranging interviews, no more transparency. They're now taking the Asian corporate approach. We're dealing with this ourselves, and the rest of the company and the rest of the customers don't need to know. It just goes from bad to worse.
What I would like to say today to Optus is that transparency and accountability are paramount here. It is crucial that everyone who has been affected by this breach is properly notified of that.
Now is not a time to listen to the lawyers and the damage control merchants. Now is a time to take the high road, embrace, work with us in all areas, as they've been doing in some, further extend that cooperation. It's now a matter of protecting Australians' privacy from criminals.
Shorten's right. They're listening to damage control merchants this week. They couldn't get through the first 2 weeks, so they've taken a third approach. It gets even worse. Here is something that both ministers are unaware of. Optus is informing customers who've had their data breached to seek a credit check with a group called Equifax. I was told this by listeners to my radio program this morning. This is to determine whether their identity and accounts are accruing outstanding debts. Well, think about that. That only warns customers after the event for a start. And if someone has created a new identity and therefore a new account, the debt is hardly going to show up or be recorded in the first few days. And as for this credit monitoring company, Equifax, which breached customers can obtain a free subscription to, well, hold on a second. Cannot believe this. Equifax has had its own major cyber dramas. The Washington Post reported on September 7, 2017, that the credit reporting agency Equifax said that hackers gained access to sensitive personal data, social security numbers, birth dates and home addresses for up to 143 million Americans. What? So 11 days later, Optus is still stuffing up the previous debacle, sending burnt and angry customers to a credit check company which has managed to burn 143 million clients, way more than the drop in the ocean of 11 million Optus customers. Now, even if Equifax had become the world's safest credit check company, why would you add to the fear the depression that Australian customers are feeling right now by linking them up to a mob who've been so comprehensively hacked as well. It is gobsmacking. If Optus survives this episode, it will be a miracle. As for exposed customers, some of them might be fighting to prove their credit records for many, many years to come. And where will Optus be when that nightmare begins?